All the roll and go, where am I to go? Meet Johnny, where am I to go? For I am a young and a sailor lad, and where am I to go?
Hello, and welcome to Where Am I to Go podcast. We were driving through Kansas and decided we would stay at a city park in Medicine Lodge. It's a really nice little city park, and while we were here, we were driving around and we saw a museum called the Stockade Museum, and it's right on the main street, and we decided to pull on in, just thought it was a small little county museum, and I had absolutely no idea how much history was right here in the Medicine Lodge area. I also thought that the Medicine Lodge town was probably on a reservation, but it is not on a reservation. There was just some important treaties signed here. And we were with our guest, or our host today, Kelly, and she is going to take us through this museum and talk about that, plus a very interesting lady by the name of Carrie Nation. I had never heard of her, but by the end of this podcast, you ought to be impressed with this lady. Anyway, welcome, Kelly, to Where Am I to Go podcast.
Well, welcome to you guys too, and thank you so much for stopping these little museums. They need everybody to come to them to keep them going because the history is so precious and so important. We can't let it just die out. Medicine Lodge does have a very vibrant history. Dodge City will always kind of be the big star of Kansas. However, we're pretty close.
How far are you from Dodge City?
We're about, I'd say probably 120 miles, about 2-hour drive.
Okay.
So anyway, well, shall we start here in the Smith cabin?
We're going to start in the Smith cabin, not in the main area, and then we'll go back to the main area and then on over to the Carrie Nation house. And you can tell us about the Smith cabin.
Okay. Well, our museum is actually a representation of a timber fort that was built here, and this cabin sits within that fort. Now, it was not built here. It was actually built down by Kiowa, Kansas, and transported up here into the museum. It is a log cabin. It's got actually about 4 rooms, and people actually lived in this log cabin till about in the 1950s.
And then what happened to it?
Then it came here not too long after that.
Okay, when we were talking to Yvonne the other day, she was saying that it turned into a kid's playhouse.
Oh, well, I was not aware of that.
You were not aware of that?
No,
she said she was looking out here and she says, it's just amazing to me that they let the kids just have it as a kid's playhouse for several years.
Oh, yeah, because it'd just be like an empty building on a farm,
Yeah.
So didn't have the significance it does now.
But it's a big house.
I have a question. So we were looking at this yesterday when we were here scoping it out, and it looked like this was the main part, and then they added that part on.
No, that I'm not aware of.
Okay.
I am not aware of that.
It just appeared that way.
Right.
With the roof line.
Right. And so, this is a treasure trove of all sorts of antiques and then just life during that time period of the 1880s. We have a bearskin coat that's behind you that's hanging. My husband tried it on last year for pictures, and it's still a good coat.
Well, I'm about ready to put it on because it's kind of chilly in here.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And so when you come, you can just see how life was. The kitchen area, it's got, the butter churn, it's got coffee grinders, it's got the sugar bucket, it's got that cast iron stove.
Butter press.
Yes.
Several crocks.
Right. All the things that you would imagine that would go into a kitchen at the time. What's really cool about this cabin also is the Smith family descendants still come back and they do work on the cabin.
Oh, really?
To keep it going, yeah. And
Wow.
and they don't live here. So they travel back, I think it's about once a year, and do work on it to try to keep it.
Well, that's way cool.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we walked into basically a living room, a living room. It's got a leather couch that looks more like a bed. You've got a wheelchair, a wicker wheelchair, pump organ, and some old photos. The room's probably, 14 by 14?
Probably.
And so that would have been their living room when you first came in, and then you can come on into the kitchen. And like we already talked, we've got butter churns and lanterns and ironing boards, copper pot for boiling clothes and washing clothes or canning or whatever they may have needed it for. And they got a coffee grinder. And then they've got a staircase that you can't have any more than 3 people at one time going up. And there's 3 of us. So do we want to go up individually, or do we all want to stand on it at the same time?
Let's take a risk. Let's go.
And this staircase is steep and narrow. It's
And
probably 2 foot wide. We've got 3 angled stairs, and then we get upstairs, and there's a bed with a soapstone on it, a little candle with a Bible by the bed, a china pitcher. They've got a potty chair so that you didn't have to run to the outhouse at night. And since this is on the 2nd floor, you could just kind of dump it out and hope nobody was underneath the eaves, I guess.
Yeah, I think we're kind of spoiled.
I think we're really spoiled. And then they have another bedroom in here that's about 10 foot wide and about 14 foot long, with a bed with a really nice quilt. Oh, you've got spring mattress even.
There was this
And a
is
rocking
one.
chair.
I think it's got I was thinking one had ropes across it to hold it. Yeah,
So that you could sleep tight.
probably so.
That's where that statement came from, is they could tighten up those ropes.
Okay.
And so, good night, sleep tight.
There you go.
That's how they adjusted the firmness of the bed.
Right.
And you got a baby carriage in here. How in the world did they get some of this stuff up that staircase?
I don't know.
Holy
I do
smokes,
not
this
know.
dresser's 4 foot long, and I don't know how you got it around the curve.
I don't know.
Wow.
The trundle bed is really, really interesting.
Yeah.
There's a little trundle bed that I don't really know how it folds up. It doesn't sit very high up off the floor, and it's probably would fit a kid that was up to about 10 years of age.
Right.
And it has a little mattress on it.
A little bigger than what we would call a toddler bed now.
Right.
Yeah.
And a stove, so that they could keep the bedroom warm.
I think all the rooms had a stove. That one has a stove. This one does not have a stove. So it probably came warm from that one, unless there was one in here before.
But I could just imagine the kids having a heck of a fun time
Oh yes.
playing in here after the Smiths moved out and built their other house or whatever they did.
Well, and I am sure when the Smiths built this house, it was such a change from them living possibly in a sod house.
Right.
I know my great-great-grandparents came from England in Kiowa County, south of Greensburg. And they had a sod house, and my great-great-grandfather would go down and leave her and the children by themselves to work on the railroad as it was coming through. And at that time there was fear of the Indians, attacks and everything else. And yeah, so my great granddad, his name was Herbert Prairie Parkin, because they couldn't think of a good middle name. So there was lots of prairie, so he got Prairie as his middle name. Yeah, she just held down the fort, and he ended up being born in that sod house. And then the house they built, that was within 100 yards of where he was born, is where he died at 87.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
So did he take some fun trips in between, or did he just live within that 100-mile area?
He did. I know he went to Cuba at one point when it was still open.
Oh,
and
really?
Yeah. He had a college education. So
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That he was able to return to his roots.
Right. I don't know if you've noticed this building here, and it is an old steel jail. And anyway, there is a great story on the inside. It's very bare bones. In fact, I don't know how you keep from getting tetanus from it. If you were staying there with the bunks, there's 2 cells, and nobody's going to get out of this sucker. But the story is that we have a tub out here.
Right.
And it says that the last 2 men that occupied this, they were lacking something to do, so one bathed the other in the tub, and the fellow who took the bath died the next day. The doctor said it was pneumonia, but the old timer said it was shock because he'd never had a bath before.
That just goes to prove that maybe if you haven't had a bath, you ought not to start taking them.
Right. Shock to the system.
But this jail is extremely interesting. It was in the courthouse.
Right.
In the basement, and then it's set up like with a hallway with the 2 cells sitting off to the left-hand side. But the jailer, when he left, he was able to pull a lever and the doors would close, so he could put the prisoners in and still be able to walk in the hallway in order to feed them or check on them or whatever else. And once he locked them in, he could go on out and lock the outside door, and so there was a double lock system for him to have to break through.
Right. You have done your research well, sir.
I just was looking at it here the other day. Like I said, I don't usually like to go through museums first because it takes away some of the surprise or some of the questions, and I don't like to sound like a know-it-all,
right,
or even a know-it-anything. And this bell is really cool. They've got a big bell out here that's probably got a 3-foot round bell at the bottom. And it looks like it was hanging in a church or a school.
And I don't know, Yvonne may have known something about it. I really don't know much about the bell. So, but it is a very, very cool, right?
It really makes you want to go get one of the ball peen hammers out of the inside here and come out here and ding it a couple times.
Right. So, would you like me to talk about the peace treaty a little bit?
Yeah, let's talk about the peace treaty.
Because then that kind of goes over on into the Stockade history. So here's what the deal was they call them the 5 civilized tribes. So it's your Cheyenne, your Comanche, your Arapaho, Apache, and Kiowa.
And they were considered the
5 civilized
the
tribes.
civilized tribes.
I don't know why.
I thought that the Apache were major warring, and same
the
thing.
Comanches,
I thought that would have been the warring tribes, not the peaceful tribes.
I don't know why that they had that moniker, but they did. That's what they were called, and so they inhabited this area, and it's a huge area that they inhabited, and so the U.S. government decided to strike up a deal with them, a peace treaty, because this land here where we are at Medicine Lodge was sacred land. Because of the Medicine River, there's a lot of mineral content in it, and they believed it was healing waters, the Native Americans did. And so that's why it was sacred. So if you were going to have some kind of ceremony, this is where you would come to.
Okay.
So that's why the government picked this location. And so part of the deal was that because the buffalo were gone almost, that the Native Americans would end up with meat, and they were supposed to have all sorts of supplies, medical care, anything to really help them, and Medicine Lodge was supposed to be the hub for that. And so when they got ready to do the treaty, it's questionable how many of the tribes people showed up. Anywhere you read, it could be 8,000 to 15,000.
Holy smokes.
Regardless, it was a huge number. If you were a chief, you were going to be here. Mm-hmm. There was about 300 very trusting government officials that came. And Stanley from the Dr. Livingston, I presume, story, he was the guy reporting it. And so they met actually about down the Medicine River and where Elm Creek meet, from where we're located now about 1.5 miles down in some timber there. All of them met there, camped there, I should say, except for the Comanche, and they were about 1 mile on up the river. So when it came time to deal with the treaty, of course, we all know that they had no idea what they were signing away. How do you own the air? How do you own water?
Right.
They had that same mindset. And also between themselves, they weren't agreeing on things. The natives weren't. You had people like Satana going, hey, we can take them. We don't have to sign this. And others like Black Kittle, who'd just been through the Sand Creek Massacre a few years before, were going, no, if we're going to survive, this is what we've got to do. So there was conflict between them. So anyway, they get ready. They're here for about 3 weeks to hash this out. And they get ready to sign the treaty. And the story goes that there was a brave who was not for it. And he ran and snatched the treaty up and ran off into the hills. And then they had to go get him and bring him back. Questionable whether that is a legit story or not, but that's part of it. When we put on the Medicine Lodge Peace Treaty pageant every 3 years, where we reenact around 300 years of history, that scene is a huge scene in it. So I would invite anyone to come back. It's be 2027. You can go to peacetreaty.com, give you all the information. There's tons of stuff going on during that time.
And you need 8,000 people here, 8 to 15,000.
Well, if it's a nice day on a Saturday, that's not a problem.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, this town is full. There's parades, there's a muzzleloaders camp, there's a powwow going on. There's nothing like this in the United States, the pageant. You sit there and you watch all of this unfold, from Father Marcos and the friars coming to Coronada to the Longhorn drives with Longhorns go through it. They have, it's very cool. And then, of course, they have the wagon train. They even unharness the horses. And, of course, you have the tribes coming and attacking the wagon train. The cavalry saves the day. But it is just, it's a very significant piece of history. But you get to watch all of this unfold. Like you were there. It's really an awesome thing. So anyway, back to the treaty. So anyway, after the treaty was signed, Congress didn't move fast enough, shockingly.
Right.
And as westward expansion began, then that is when there were some massacres and skirmishes, all sorts of things in this area. So that's why the stockade was built. And really, it was the only place between Fort Larned, which is about an hour and, 40 minutes north of here, to Fort Sill, Oklahoma, which is about 200 miles. This was the only spot, and it was the only fort of timber in the state of Kansas, because we had it. Nobody else had it. And a lot of the forts, like Fort Larned, it was mainly a supply type function there. All of them had different purposes. And so what was cool about the stockade, it was about a block and a half wide, 2 blocks long, and housed about 200 people. And there were little cabins outside of it. So then when there was threat of attacks, they would hook oxen up to those cabins and pull them into the stockade and then pull them back out when the threat was over.
So these were early mobile homes.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So anyway, I thought that was just really a cool little tidbit.
It is.
Yeah,
really
so
cool.
And it was actually down in our downtown area. This is just a representation. There's no way the wood would have held up or anything. So we do have corner posts. They're about half a block off Main Street on either side that will show you the corners of the stockade.
Oh, okay.
And another thing that's cool about your downtown is you still have the cobblestone roads.
Oh yeah, the old brick streets.
Yeah, the old brick streets.
And we have the Grand Hotel that had been built, and it was the tallest building at the time between Wichita and Denver.
Really?
And they spared no expense. They brought in all sorts of furnishings from Europe. I mean, it was a big deal.
Is it still going on right now?
It's a private residence.
Oh, okay.
Yes, and
We could go in and look at it.
It is. Yes, it's a beautiful building, and they've kept it up very well.
So people can go in and see it.
If you know the right people.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You can't just go to the gun room.
No, the gun room now is closed, and he retired from that. But they still continue to to live there.
Okay.
And they have little events there, some, and yeah, great people.
Now I'm seeing something here that I have never seen before, and that is a child's or a teenager's McClellan saddle. That thing is a lot smaller than the ones that you see the cavalry riding, and I wonder if it was for kids that lied about their age in order to get into the military, or just what it is, because it's not a real big saddle. It's got what, probably a 12-inch seat?
Maybe, very tiny, little stirrup.
Little stirrups and everything, yeah. And then you've got some really nice fly blankets.
Right.
That they put on the horses, the draft horses and stuff, that have leather hanging down fringe to keep the flies off. As the horses would move, the flies wouldn't be able to stay on their backs when they were sweating and stuff.
Right.
And those are nice.
Well, as we move on in here, let's see what else we can find. Oh, we talked about this hair wreath, human hair wreath. And it is truly, well, it kind of has a little creepy factor to it. It truly is a work of art.
I love hair wreaths. They're like, I love to see them in museums. I've been to several museums that had them, but there was one dedicated solely to that in Independence, Missouri that I went into. And I walked into the lobby thinking if it was more than $5 to go through, I wasn't going to mess with it. It was $15 to go through, and I couldn't get the money out of my pocket fast enough. And she had probably 300 of them in there, along with braided hair bracelets.
Oh, yes.
And watch fobs and all kinds of different things.
We've got a necklace and earrings in here,
Do you?
too. Yes. And so part of this was there's different colors within this hair wreath, and very intricately crocheted, kind of, although it's art of itself. It's not crochet, it's its own thing. You just kind of have to see it to believe it. But why there's all the different colors is because this is your whole family's. So whenever someone passed away, then the gray may be Aunt Bertha's hair. And, you know, it just signifies the whole family, and they would put this out on their door Memorial Day, and or when there was a funeral, to just memorialize the family.
They didn't have photographs,
right?
And so they needed something to remember them by. And some of them I've seen actually have genealogies as to whose hair is in there, and when they were born and when they died. And so you've got your whole family history for like 100 years, and everybody's hair is put back into the wreath.
That's really cool.
It's
really cool.
really, really interesting to me. It's just a piece of history that fascinates the heck out of me. And a lot of people, like you said, find them creepy. But I just, the intricacy and the work that had to have gone into that is just beyond belief.
And they usually find it creepy till they hear the story and the purpose.
Right.
And then they really start honing in on that. So anyway, one of our big events we had here in Medicine Lodge, that it is just kind of a wild story. We had a bank robbery here, the Medicine Valley Bank robbery. So what the deal was first of all, we have to start in Caldwell, Kansas, which is, I don't know, about an hour from here, a little over an hour, down the Oklahoma line, kind of south of Wichita. And it was a cattle town, and it was rough. They're going to shoot you wherever you are in this place. If you're in the saloon, the bordello, on the streets, wherever, they're just going to shoot you. They went through 13 city marshals in 2 years' time.
Holy smokes.
The townspeople were sick of it. They were just sick of it. So this guy came in, Henry Brown, and they hired him to be their city marshal, and he was good. And he brought a deputy with him, Ben Wheeler. And they were awesome at their job, so good that the people of Caldwell gave Henry Brown a gold-plated rifle.
Oh, really?
I guess it's in the Historical Museum in Topeka. And we'd love to have it, though.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, so they give it to him, and he had a good life. He had wife and kids and everything, but he just wasn't making enough money, and there was just some temptation there, because back in the day, he had ridden with Billy the Kid.
Okay.
But at that time, you couldn't Google to find out who anybody was.
Right.
And he was a great lawman. And so found out that there was money coming through, the cattle money coming through the Medicine Valley Bank here. So he and Ben got 2 more guys that had ridden with him in the past, and they were going to come and hit the bank here, and no one was going to get hurt. It'll all been right off. No one's going to know any different. So that morning, everything went wrong. The bank president wasn't supposed to be there, and that was part of why this was great timing. As they get to town, it's raining something fierce. They go in, and the bank president, Wiley Payne, he, come to find out, is there. And when he saw Henry Brown, he knew exactly why he was there, and he went to reach for a gun under his desk, and Henry Brown shot him.
Oh, no.
Killed him. Also, George Gephardt, he was a teller. He was shot and killed. They got away with no money whatsoever, took off riding out west of town. Well, a posse formed really fast and went after them, and their gunfire is ablazing. One of the horses got shot out from one of the bank robbers, so had to ride double on out. They get out into the Gyp Hills, which is full of canyons and buttes, and they got kind of confused. Some was because some barbed wire got strung out. They had fresh horses out there they were getting to, but some barbed wire had been strung up, and so they lost their way, and that's the rain, and they get caught in a box canyon and can't get out. So it's still just raining. The posse shows up, and they go around the rim of that canyon, and they're talking loud and making it sound like there's 50 of them there.
Oh, wow.
So finally the bank robbers, they give it up, and they bring him to town. And they put him in jail. It's a wooden jail, wooden jail. And anyway, they're waiting for a judge to come. And Henry Brown knows what's going to happen. So him and Ben Wheeler, they try escaping. Henry Brown is shot and killed. But Ben here, he's all shot up. And the townspeople decide, we're not waiting for a judge. They've just killed 2 prominent townspeople. So they got him, and they told, well, first of all, they told the sheriff or city marshal, whichever it was, said, if you don't give them to us, we're tearing down that building, and we will get them. So they went ahead, took them down to the park, and hung them down there. The only time, and Ben Wheeler's half dead anyway, and the only time in Western history that they can document, they hung 2 people in the same rope at the same time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because they were about the same height, and they said there was like 300 people there, so I don't know why we only had 2 ropes. I mean, that's one of the things I don't understand. But as a little girl, I can remember having family reunions down in our park, and there was a tree with nooses hanging off of it, that it was called the hangman's tree, and we played under it and didn't think a thing of it. However, in the museum, we do have something very unusual and, again, creepy. We have a piece of rope here that is from one of the hangman's nooses.
Oh, really?
And it's what, maybe 6 inches long?
Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah. So the reason why we don't have the whole length of the rope was, in those days, they would chop it up, and that was your souvenir to take home.
From the public gathering.
Yes, and also the tree, they said the next morning had been just stripped of a bark, because people took that as their souvenirs. This was pre-t-shirts, So, yeah. So
Pre-t-shirts, I like that.
So, yeah, quite the tale.
Yeah, can you imagine, I mean, in this day and age, having a public hanging and having everybody come down with a picnic and sitting down at the city park and watching the hanging, and then afterwards having a big party, but that was the common thing.
Justice was going to be served.
Yeah.
So, in fact, in our cemetery, one of the bank robbers is still there.
The other
His
ones
name's-
got up and left?
Well, no, they were claimed. And here's the deal. Henry Brown, his wife, came with, I've read one a buckboard and one a buggy. So who knows? She came because they put him in a mass grave. And she came, they dug him up, propped him up in the seat beside her,
Really?
and she took him back to Caldwell. And no one knows where he was buried.
Wow.
Oh my.
Yes,
This is an interesting story.
yes.
Yeah, very, very interesting.
So that's one of our big stories here.
Now, as we're walking down this little aisle, you've got two rows of glass cases. You've got some surveying equipment, like for the railroad, a stagecoach strongbox from 1885. You've got a bunch of old woodworking tools, planes and axes, hatchets. You've got some tools for like Model Ts and other old wrenches. You've got some things from World War I, World War II, a couple of guns, a couple of shells, bayonets, binoculars, just a really nice collection of that type of stuff, war rations. You've got a whole selection of guns on this other side that some of them are cap and ball, some of them are shotguns that are just probably early 1900s. You've got pocket knives, some prison padlocks, shotgun shells, the old paper shotgun shells, just a gun that looks like it was dug up from someplace years ago, some pocket watches, and then some different certificates from, what are these from? Well, you got your hangman's noose in there, and you've got just a bunch of, I guess, memorabilia of the banks and the stamps and some of that kind of stuff. And over here on this side, you've got a Civil War sword, trunk type case. It's more of a suitcase, I guess. And then as we come on over here, we've got a shot case. What is a shot case?
That was where you bought your shot to make your own shotgun shells.
Okay.
Yep. So it
So
would
you
come in
had-
there, and you'd lift that and you could fill.
Containers so that you can
Right.
take it home. You've got some soapstone foot warmers, fluter. I don't remember what's a fluter for. I don't remember what they use that for. Was that
I
for?
couldn't tell you.
I think it had something to do with clothing.
Probably pleats or something. I
Yeah,
don't know.
something like that. And several old irons. Lots of glassware, pink and orange and deep red. Just a lot of really nice pieces here, and a whole collection of clocks and radios, old radios, ice cream makers, just shoes, just a lot of interesting things to look at. And then we come on over here to this side.
One of my favorite things is we have some stick grease makeup from the dancing girls at the Grand Hotel.
Oh, really?
Yep.
And what would they use that for? It was makeup?
Makeup, yeah.
Makeup. And it was colored?
I don't know. That's all white,
I
so
was
I
gonna
don't
say,
know
that
what
looks to
they
be
use
white.
that for.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was for the dancing girls.
And then you've got just a lot of manicure type stuff and
Old
curling irons and hair.
purses.
Yeah, what are these things called?
Combs.
Sid combs is what it says.
Hair combs.
But they're the hair hold them in place things.
Beautiful.
And here's something I had never seen before, and I found it quite interesting. You've got a spinning wheel that is a really portable spinning wheel. It's probably 12 inches long, has one end that you could screw onto the edge of your cabinet, and you could make it spin, and you'd be able to spin your wool from there, which is really quite interesting. And then you've got a medicinal set here that is also very interesting. You've got a druggist mortar bowl and a bunch of different beakers, and it looks like tools that just really don't want to be used, like for yanking teeth out or maybe pulling out your gizzard or who knows what.
Very tools.
Yeah, they don't look very nice at all. And then anybody that's ever had a catheter ought to be really thankful that they didn't have to use the catheters that they had back then, because those things were solid and silver and just does not look comfortable at all.
Fun.
And then down this backside, you've got a place where you can try your skill at grinding corn, and another trunk. Do you know what that is?
It has something to do with making shoes, boots, but I don't know for sure how it works.
Okay. I've never seen one of those that I'm aware of, and it's a very interesting looking piece. And then you've got a bread baking Dutch oven that looks like it makes round loaves. And this is a really interesting bellows that you have here too. It's like a regular little fireplace bellows, but it's got a big, when I say big, it's about 4 inches round and about 6 inches long tube on it that I'm not sure what the purpose of that is. It goes from the bellows, narrows down, and then comes into this other container and then comes out the bellows. It's kind of interesting. I don't know if it increased the airflow or made it more steady or what it did.
Well, now this dentist chair, I have a daughter-in-law who's a dentist, and she about passed out when I showed her this. This is the dentist drill. So you've got this kind of wheel thing that's on a base, and you would have it tied to the belt would go round, and somehow you would foot pump it, and then this was your dentist drill up here. There is a rod that goes up, and the drill's up there, so you would pump that as you drilled the teeth.
So it was a treadle drill.
Yes, absolutely.
And so the dentist probably walked around with one leg a little bit fatter than the other.
Probably so. Probably so. So I know we have this buffalo here. He is at least 130 years old.
Really?
So he looks pretty good.
He looks really good.
So he is actually filled with plaster. He's heavy as all get out. And one day, he used to be down there, he took a dive and hit one. We had a little high school girl working here by herself, took a dive and hit one of our cases, scared the pee wadding right out of her. Yeah, but he's does quite well. There was a man here by the last name of Lake, Reuben Lake, that he had shot him. Now, the story I'm about to tell you is not this particular buffalo, but he was with a buffalo crew and had shot a buffalo. It was winter, and it went out, it was out in the Jip Hills, and the buffalo took off, and they were trying to track him, and he went after the buffalo while the wagon was supposed to be coming. Anyway, he finally lands this buffalo, and he waits, and it's getting dark and snow on the ground, and the guy is not showing up. So he had gone ahead and had skinned out the buffalo, had cut him off a buffalo steak, and had made a little fire, grilled it, and the whole bit. They're still not there. So he wraps up in that fresh buffalo robe and falls asleep. Well, when he wakes up, there's coyotes all around him, and he's frozen. That fresh robe had frozen around him, and he thought, I'm toast. And so, but they just went to the carcass, and then left. Well, the next day, the people don't show up, and the people don't show up, and he's still frozen, and he cannot get out. And anyway, about nighttime, he thought, I'm done. And they did show up and got him thawed out. So kind of a wackadoodle story there, but.
Yeah. I have a friend that was sleeping in a teepee one winter, and he covered up with a buffalo robe that he had, and the moisture from his breath froze his long beard to the buffalo robe, and he could not get out of bed. He could not drag that buffalo robe because he was wadded up in it to start a fire or anything else. He said it was a miserable time.
Oh, wow.
Yes, I hang out with some unusual people.
Well, that's great. makes life more exciting. So this display is basically local schools that were here. Some are ones that the towns may not even exist anymore. Or this is kind of a newer exhibit of the cards that was put in different coffee.
Okay.
Coffee. And so when you bought your coffee, these beautiful little cards.
Was it
would come
Arbuckle
out.
Coffee?
Lion was one of them, and there was another one, and I can't think.
I guess
off the
they
top
always
of
put
my
a
head.
mint in the Arbuckle coffee. And the camp cook was the one that was privileged to be able to get it. And he could ask favors in order for one of the cowboys to go out and collect wood or whatever, and he'd give him that little piece of candy in exchange, and it was kind of a big deal.
Right. So
I would guess the cards would be kind of the same way.
we have a lot of regalia from a man who was a local chief here. He was the chief of the Southern Cheyenne named Charlie Little Coyote. He has now passed on, but he was such a sweetheart, and he is one that promoted the Medicine Lodge Peace Treaty pageant in any kind of way to educate people about Native Americans, about just how history was, good, bad, pretty, ugly, whatever. He was all about educating about the ways of the Native Americans. So we also had a sugar mill here at one point.
Oh, really?
Yes, and sugar beets. And so it was down about where our Pizza Hut is. Yeah, down in there. And so that's interesting. And then we
Now,
also...
did sugar beets?
Mm-hmm. Yes. And then also we have a gyp mill here. And that to make wallboard.
Right.
And that's been a big industry for over 100 years.
Wow,
So
and it's still up and running.
it's still up and running. Yes. And that supports a lot of people in our town.
That's good.
Yes. So,
Well, and over here,
okay.
we've got a Native American display case that has a gun that I don't know what caliber it'd be, but it's highly carved in the stock from Chief Charlie Little Coyote and Morning Killer.
Okay, now the thing about Charlie Little Coyote is his great-grandfather was Black Kittle.
Okay.
So that was in the Sand Creek Massacre and survived.
Okay. And we've got lots of different moccasins with beadwork, peace pipe, drum with a beautiful painting of a black and white paint horse, some drum sticks that are pretty interesting because they're on a long pole, and the drum stick part is probably 6 inches long and 1 inch round. Not like what you'd think of the rock and roll drumstick.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then you've got the leathers that were worn by Chief Charlie Little Coyote, and an old buffalo skull, and several other pieces of Indian artifacts, some arrowheads and tomahawks and some of those kind of things. It's a pretty interesting display.
And this is our cowboy corner over here with displaying a lot of old local brands. Some of the brands are still being used. It's just they'd be ancestors of whoever these were. It's kind of weird because a lot of times in this area, the drugstores would have these like above their displays, like a line of them above their displays.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so that way everyone knew whose everybody's brands were.
Well, now you can't forget the cowgirls because you've got 2 side saddles here.
Yes. And I used to ride one in parades, and they are the awkwardest things to ride because you're not centered.
Right.
You're not balanced and stuff, but yeah. So,
My daughter has one that she's ridden, and she used to jump her horse
oh, bless
with
her.
one in a dress, which just blew my mind. But
The old chuck wagon
was
box.
young.
Oh, yeah. The old chuck wagon box is pretty cool.
yes, it is. The chuck wagon box is really cool.
And probably our crown jewel here of artifacts is the peace pipe that they smoked at the Medicine Lodge Peace Treaty.
Really, that's the actual one.
That's the actual one.
Wow.
Yes. So this man named Ico, he was Kiowa, and he had been a little boy at the peace treaty in 1867. Well, I want to say in the 1920s, he came up and showed them exactly where it was. And one of his grandfathers had given that. They had donated, the tribe did, to the museum.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
That is so cool.
it is very cool. I've been trying to figure out which grandfather it is that gave it. I'm trying to find out who his grandfathers were. So narrow it down to 2.
What a fun thing to do.
Yeah. So not as easy as you'd think, but I'm trying. So, well, are you ready to make your way over to
I am
Carrie
ready to hear
Nations?
another story. We've talked about the land treaty and that type of stuff. Now we're going to go into a very interesting story about a very interesting lady that I had never heard of. But now that I've heard of her, I'm highly intrigued.
You'll never forget her now. I
will never
guarantee.
forget her. And to think that she lived right here.
Yes.
Her name was Carrie Nation.
Yeah, when she was born in Kentucky, her name's Carrie Amelia Moore. And then later on, the spelling of her first name was Carrie. But later she changed it when she got to Medicine Lodge and with the Women's Christian Temperance Union, she changed it to Carry because she believed God was calling her to carry a nation on her shoulders.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's a good story.
Yes.
Well, and she said one word there that if anybody missed it, we will go back and hit it. Temperance.
Yes.
And she definitely had a temper, but I don't know how it worked with temperance.
Well, we're going to find out some stuff about her. She is one I'm so fascinated with. And so she was born back in Kentucky, and her parents had a plantation. And they were very wealthy, but her mom had some mental illness and believed she was Queen Victoria. Yes, Queen Victoria. And anyway, the enslaved people are who raised Carrie, actually, because you couldn't just go talk to mom. You had to set an appointment.
Oh.
And the whole bit. And Carrie wasn't the healthiest kid. She was the oldest of several. And anyway, so yeah, things were just kind of wonky. Their mom had dad make a gold-plated carriage, and she would ride around waving to everyone and the workers and everyone played along with her thinking she was Queen Victoria.
Oh, funny, isn't it?
Yes, also in her family was an aunt who thought she was a weather vane and would stand up on top of the house and with the weather. Yes, and there was like a cousin who, when he turned 40, he decided he wasn't going to walk upright anymore, so he just crawled everywhere. There was just some funky stuff going on. And so anyway, the Civil War came along. And they lost everything. And Dad, he took up drinking. And anyway, they ended up packing everything in that gold carriage and moving to Missouri. And so while they were there, Carrie, of course, she ended up being responsible for her siblings a lot. And she ended up falling in love with a doctor from a neighboring town, Dr. Charles Gloyd, and they were very much in love. There's letters in Topeka at the Historical Museum that prove this, that they were very much in love. Well, her parents weren't for this at all, but she went ahead and married him. And once she married him, found out that he was a closet alcoholic, and raging closet alcoholic. And anyway, she was only with him about 14 months and left him. So it had to have been bad because that was not her belief system.
Right.
It was not at all. And by this time had a little girl named Charlene. I think after she left him, it was like just a few months later, he died from an alcohol-related disease, cirrhosis something anyway. So she took his mother in, and she supported her daughter, and the mother-in-law. And she was a school teacher for a while. She eventually lost that job because she wasn't pronouncing some words correctly because she had a southern accent, and they were being, picky, and let her go. And so they lived in poverty for quite a while. Well, enter David Nation. Mm-hmm. David was about 20 years older than her, and he had 5 kids he needed a mama for. And she needed a way out of the pickle she was in. However, they had a lot in common. They really did, as far as their belief system and everything. He was a lawyer, and once they got married, he decided that he wanted to be a farmer. So they moved to Texas and had a cotton farm down there. And he loved it until he had to do it. And then he left her and the kids to bring in 1,400 acres of cotton. Ooh. Well, he went to town and was the newspaper man and had a saddle shop. Well, they lost the farm, and she ended up managing some hotels. But then came up a job in Medicine Lodge, Kansas for a Christian church pastor. Well, he could do that. So they moved up here, and that's when they bought this house. They were people who, if they had something you needed, they were going to give it to you. This house, if you didn't have a place to go to on Thanksgiving, Christmas, you could come here. They took in kids that had the run of the streets. In fact, they took in 2 boys and adopted them. Pregnant, unwed mothers could come here. Anybody who needed anything. In fact, Carrie was known to, if you were, say, you lived your little good life and you were doing well, and she came walking by your house and you had some chickens out in the yard, she would just go grab one and say, I am taking this chicken down to so-and-so. They're having a hard time. There's nothing you could do about it. She just went and got them. Anyway, she just really had a heart for nurturing children, especially. She taught Sunday school. She would bring them in here and teach them how to bake cookies and teach them about Jesus and flowers, gardening, and all the things. So alcohol in Kansas was kind of interesting because it was illegal. The people here had gotten sick of the cowboy culture, and everyone kind of transient. Kansas was just kind of a go-to to get to those mountains. Mm-hmm. Or on to California. And so it was a rough and tumble people that had been coming through. So the ones that didn't want that, they were the ones that, Kansas was the first state in the Union to outlaw alcohol. However, it wasn't enforced. Between Kiowa and Medicine Lodge, one had 8 bars. Kiowa, which is smaller than Medicine, they had like 13. It was crazy. A saloon was considered one, even if you had 2 barrels with a plank across the top of it, that could be a saloon. And so Carrie, what with her background with her husband and her dad, and then seeing all these people, especially women and kids, going through some really tough times, she decided she was going to do something about it. So one day David goes out of town, and she hooks her horse Prince up to her buggy, and she has a bag with rocks, and she has her Bible, and she goes down to Kiowa and goes into a saloon, and she tells them they need to change their ways. They laugh at her, and she obliterates the place. The story, yes, with these rocks. And the story is that there was another saloon close by, and when they heard that, they started locking their doors real fast. Here in Medicine, she really didn't do that with the saloons. In fact, she got her girls, the Women's Christian Temperance Union gals, and they went and they would pray out in front of all of those bars, and eventually each one of those bars shut down.
Wow.
Now, the pharmacies were a different story. She would watch guys go in and be in there for like a couple hours, and then they'd come teetering out, and she'd go in because she knew what was coming in the back door, and so she would get casket and she'd go bust them on the streets. Wow. Yeah. So one of my favorite stories about her is on a Sunday morning, she heard that some boys were going to be at a barn drinking, and so she was waiting for them. And she told him, said, you have a choice. She grabbed one by the ear and said, you can either go with me to church or you're going to lose your ear. And he decided church might be the best thing that day. If people were out like a cigar, smoking a cigar, she knocked that out of their hands too. That was the devil's doing there. When David was kind of a meek guy, and so when he would be preaching, she would correct him while he was up preaching.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and if he went too long, she'd get up, close his Bible, and say, "That's enough for today, Mr. Nation," and church would be over. Well, the thing was, the hit in Kiowa was so cool, well received all over, that whenever he left town, she'd take off somewhere. Anthony, Kansas, little town, one of their bars there, the Idle Hour, has hatchet marks still in the bar.
Wow.
Yeah, the top of the bar. So she went to Wichita a lot. She liked Wichita. She would get thrown in jail once. Mostly she got fined because the judges, first of all, were sympathetic, most of them, because they were just seeing this bad stuff with alcohol come through their courts. And it was illegal. So that'd be like today a drug dealer going in and saying, so-and-so stole my drug money from me.
Right.
Yeah, so it was the same deal. There was no recourse. So anyway, she would get lippy with them though once in a while. She'd get thrown in jail. One time she was in the jail at Wichita for 3 weeks because there was a smallpox outbreak and they were quarantined. But once she got in the jail, the drunks loved her because she'd use her own money to send out to get fresh fruits and vegetables to build them up, and she would just mama them. And they were the one that started calling her Mother Nation.
Aww.
So after a while, David's not a fan of any of this. The pastor's wife should not be thrown in jail and causing all of this. So he divorced her on terms of abandonment. You know what? She really didn't care. Because by this time, everyone knew who she was. She was trending. And someone, well, first of all, David had told her before the divorce, said, well, you might as well use a hatchet. And she said, you know what? That is the smartest thing you have ever said, Mr. Nation. And somebody handed her a hatchet. And that became her brand. After that, she knew that was going to get her places. Because in those days, who's going to listen to a woman?
Right.
So she had to do dramatic things. So anyway, when David divorces her, she's like, fine, I've got my own gig. And she's traveling now to Europe to speak. She's speaking in Carnegie Hall. One reporter said that he was expecting to find an old crank when he went in there and found out that she was the sweetest, most loving person. She truly is an oxymoron all the time in what she does. So anyway, she starts traveling and doing that. Eventually, she sells this house and uses the money to start a hospital in Topeka. She sold little hatchet pins, which we have some in there, that's what funded a lot. But also people were very much for her a lot of times and would give her donations, and that's what kept her going. She eventually bought an old hotel in Eureka Springs, and she named it the Hatchet Hall. And it was actually a home for drunkards' wives and children. She set up several of those. She was going to start a school for prohibition. I don't know what that was about. Charlene, on the other hand, her daughter, because you just didn't hear much on her. I took a deep dive on her, and she ended up with all sorts of mental health problems. Hers, if you want to just the saddest tale in the world, Charlene's it. She actually died a little bit after her mother did. But when Carrie was up speaking in Leavenworth, Kansas one day, she just had a heart attack and she collapsed. And anyway, days later, she died back in Eureka Springs. And she's buried in Belton, Missouri. And on her tombstone it says, "I have done all I could." Yes. And so anyway, you still see splashes of her. Once in a while, you'll see a Carrie Nation type figure in a movie. There is a band in Wichita called Carrie Nation and the Speakeasies, and they have played here before. Just once in a while, yeah, her sprinkles. She wrote a book called The Use and Need of the Life of Carrie Nation. And the first half's very interesting. The last half kind of gets on a rant. But anyway, there was an opera written about her. She had 2 newspapers, The Hatchet and The Smasher's Mail. And anyway, she's just, the more I learn about her, she just blows my mind. There's always more. There is so much more to her than what you can even do in a podcast.
You wouldn't even imagine that something like that would come out of some psychologically damaged parents who thinking that she's Queen Elizabeth. And
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because she was very humble.
I'm just saying the psychosis runs in the family.
Oh yeah. So anyway, she's just kind of a contradiction of terms. So here's a couple things that we have that we're very blessed, because a lot of our furniture is actually hers.
Oh,
we do
really?
have a few for staging. Everything that was hers is marked. So the secretary in there was hers. This was just the couch, and all of that is just for staging. Everything in this beautiful round display swirly thing case is hers. Here is one of her hatchets.
Yes.
Yeah. And then this valise is one she would put the rocks in.
It's like a purse.
Yeah, and she tied around her waist so she'd have both hands ready. Another weapon of choice that we don't have one of hers, but brickbats. She loved brickbats. Here's some of the little pins.
Wow.
Yeah, and there's different styles, of course, different conditions.
And they've got gemstones in them.
Yes. Now, they're not real gemstones, but they now they are very valuable. And we just did a raffled one off, and made quite a bit for the museum.
That is awesome.
They're getting more, of course, more rare all the time. There's one of her little hats. And something else I might mention, she wouldn't allow people when she was in jail and stuff to take a picture of her unless it showed her either praying or reading her Bible.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Now, where did this big portrait come from? There's a big portrait that's probably 6 foot tall and
yes,
3 foot, 4 foot wide.
Right, and it's questionable how tall she was. A lot of reports say 6 foot tall, but to me that doesn't make sense. A lot of the pictures, when you look at them, she's shorter. Some accounts say she's about 5'4".
Okay.
However, she definitely had a 6 foot tall personality.
I was going to say.
Yeah, so the artist's name was Albert Wadsworth. And he painted it from, evidently his mother knew her.
Okay.
Yeah, and so he had been born and raised in Medicine Lodge.
And this is a picture of her holding a hatchet and holding her Bible in kind of a portrait type stance.
And a very soft, sweet look on her face.
Oh, yes.
Now, a lot of the photographs aren't quite that. She is a person with a determined look, very determined. This is very soft and sweet.
She's not the tallest one in this photo.
Right. So see, the 6 foot doesn't make sense to me. Yeah. And so, yeah, if you just make yourself at home, Carrie would want you to.
Come on into this room, and is that like her original dress?
That, I think, is one that's just like what she would have worn.
Okay.
Something that's also very interesting, there's people that said that she had quite the sense of humor. You don't see that coming.
No.
But there is a picture here of her holding an ice cream cone and a guy gonna take a bite and she's laughing.
Right.
No, she had a niece, Callie, and she had hoped Callie would take up the hatchet after her, but she didn't. And I don't know why she didn't. It may have been because Prohibition hit after that.
Okay.
Because this was, the early 1900s. So, yeah. So this is Charlene, and yeah, she just had quite the tale of woe. She was very sick. She had typhoid fever and ended up with a hole in her cheek, and had kind of some Frankenstein type surgeries done. And yeah, it's just, she eventually got married, and the guy was not good to her, and yeah, it's just bad. He kept putting her in mental institutions, and
If you're not crazy when you go in, you're crazy when you come out.
exactly. He just was,
Especially at
and he
that
kept
period of
doing
time.
that to his kids too.
Oh,
he
geez.
was a
awful
stinker.
Yeah. sounds
Yes.
like it.
Then we come into a bedroom. We've got a dresser and a bed and a trunk and some
There-
nice pictures.
There is a quilt block. The pillow must be in another room. There is a Carrie Nation quilt block.
Okay.
Yeah. There is also the drunkard's path, which that's what's on the bed right now. That's but yeah. But a beautiful bed that was her and David's.
Yes. Very nice. And then as we come out of the bedroom, we end up in the kitchen.
Yes.
And we've got a nice old wood cook stove, some cast iron pans. I guess it's kind of a, what would you call that? What do they call those pieces in the center of a kitchen?
Oh, kind of like an island.
An
but
island, yes,
yeah.
kind of like an island
And see,
table in
it's
the
got
middle.
the bins for your flour
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
stuff in it.
It's a pretty neat piece, and then a
here-
really nice cabinet with some dishes and.
These bottles that they actually have like port in them. This one still has it in it. This liquor company made these up there. It's in the shape of a little woman with an umbrella and stuff to make fun of Carrie.
There you go.
Yeah, it was poking fun at her. And so that's what those little bottles are.
Those are kind of cool bottles.
Aren't those?
Yeah. And butter
So-
churns and lots of different dishes and plates and old ball jars. There was a fruit.
Oh, compote?
Yeah. I'd never heard of a compote before, but it's kind of like a cake dish or a cake pan. No, not cake pan.
A cover. Yeah, it's got a cover,
like
glass cover.
Yeah,
on
a
it.
glass cover, and you put your fruit in there, and you can cover it up. What are those things called for cakes?
Just, I don't know.
They've got the
carrier,
bottom.
yeah.
They got the bottom base. It's glass, and then you put the glass piece over the top.
The cake holder.
A cake holder. There you go. Thanks, Linda.
You're welcome.
There was a flour mill here in Medicine Lodge, and it was Carrie Nation flour. People started picking up that. There was also, and it was after Carrie was long gone, she'd have a fit over this, but there was a Carrie Nation chapter of the Klan.
Oh, really?
But it was it was like in the 30s. Well, she was dead and gone, and she had such a heart for African Americans because that's who took care of her and raised her.
Right.
She loved everybody. She truly did. She just hated alcohol.
And this is an actual flour sack
Yeah.
from the Carrie Nation flour
Right.
mill.
Right.
That's interesting.
Now this is a start of a display of David Nation was a Civil War veteran.
Okay.
And so he was a captain, I believe. I don't know a lot on him, but anyway, these are some things like he would have had. Some items, a sword and a cap and all this. This is cool. I had worked here a while and never even paid attention, and all of a sudden I went, whoa, this is a temperance banner. And it's just got such a meaning to it. It's got your bartender, and behind him are all these bottles, and above it, it says, debauchery, ruin, misery, despair, death, poverty, disgrace, madness, disease, damnation. And at the bottom it says, what will you have, boys? So he's serving up all those things. And this is the only one like it. Anything close to it. Any of the women's temperance was more about promoting them. I searched and searched, and I cannot find anything even close to like this. So,
And this is about a 3 foot by 3.5 foot square looks like it's on canvas, and it's got a bartender standing at the bar with 2 patrons at the front. And then it has behind him all the bottles like what you'd see in a bar with debauchery, ruin, misery, despair, death, damnation, whatever. And yeah, that's pretty cool.
Isn't that neat?
That is.
Yes.
And then you've got several pictures of her in different locations with her Bible. She must have had that Bible everywhere.
Yes, she did. It was her best friend. This, I believe, she was being hauled off to go to jail. I think that's what that picture was. Yeah. And she was in jail in Nova Scotia and San Francisco, and there's a whole
Really?
list. Yeah. Now we have several people that have been have portrayed her. Our Carrie right now, oh my gosh, she is amazing. She's a little spitfire about this high. Her name's Kim Newman. And when they reenact, because we reenact the bank robbery during Peace Treaty pageant and all that, and there are some scenes in and those cowboys, they pick her up and haul her out, and those little legs are just going, and she's telling them rummies off, and yeah, she's awesome.
And when is this pageant again?
It's going to be 2027. It'll be the last part of September, usually the last weekend of September. And yeah, there is nothing like it.
Last part of September.
Yes. So that last weekend, it's usually about 3 days. And my handy tip, if anyone wants to go, is if you want to go out to the pageant, park on side streets along our main street. There's shuttles that will take you right out to the gate and then take you right back. And there's also the powwow grounds are out there too. They're beautiful. And so we have a lot going on during that time. Motel rooms, you probably are going to be in a town close to us. Ours are snapped up.
I'm sure.
Yeah, it's very soon. So this is the dining room. Carrie always had her table set in case somebody needed a meal at any time. She was gonna, yes, the gift of hospitality was definitely her. So the Carrie Hotel, this is one of her victims, and it's a old in Wichita. The old bar, and it's got behind it the mirror that was smashed, and yeah, she did a job. The building still stands, and if you're on Douglas going by it in Wichita, there is a statue of her, and her back is to the street, and it's looked like she's getting ready to go in. Yeah, life-size statue.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, then you should be able to know how tall she is.
Well, yeah, I don't know if they do either. But she is shorter. She is a little bit shorter than me, so yeah.
Now, you've got a very interesting piece here that I was really intrigued with the other day. I've never seen anything like it. It is a silver holder for salt and pepper, vinegar, oil, and it has a little lantern. And these all have a base that flares out and then goes down another 2 inches so that it holds in the holder at just the right angle. You'll have to look at our Facebook page because there will be a picture of it. It's just the most interesting piece. I've just never seen anything quite like that.
Yeah.
Everything you needed for your table setting is right there.
And a little ambiance with your light.
With your little, and in the early 1900s, you'd have had to have had that.
Right. No,
and it kept your salt and pepper warm.
Well, there you go. Everyone needs some warm salt and pepper. The organ was Carrie's, and just recently we had a guy come from Cowtown Museum in Wichita, and he came and he just played it, cleaned it up for us, and it's just quite the piece.
And it's a pump organ.
Yeah, and you can hear it all through the house. That's for sure.
I'm sure you can.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, her story is just absolutely fascinating. And I'm surprised I've never heard of her.
Right. So if anyone is interested to know more about her, there is a book called A Retelling of a Life by Fran Grace.
Okay.
You probably have to get it like on Amazon and used book because it's not in publication anymore, but it's excellent. Of course, her book, which is in the Stockade, or you can probably get it anywhere, the Use and Need of the Life of Carrie Nation. That's a good little book. But yeah, just Google her, you'll find out all sorts of stuff about her.
Wow. So we pretty much seen everything there is
I
to
think
see?
so.
Okay, you guys have a website.
We do. They've been working on it. If you just put in Medicine Lodge Stockade in Google,
Okay.
it'll come up
It'll
for
come
you.
up.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's
Yeah.
really easy to find. It's right on the main street and it looks like a stockade.
Right.
So-
It kind of catches your attention.
It does.
It's on Highway 160.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I like to finish out my podcast, first of all, by thanking you for taking your time.
Well, sure.
But I always say that life is full of wonder. People need to get out and explore. Every little town has its claim to fame and a major history, and the history is always so interesting to find out, especially when you come to a place like this and you see things that you didn't know existed. I had no idea about Carrie Nation or the treaties.
Right.
So everybody have a wonder-filled day.